All right. I want to talk about the champion in 3.25. I believe the champion has gotten a bunch of little sneaky buffs, or at least things that kind of feel like buffs because of the way the new season is going to be. I'm going to start with Master of Metal. This plus 1,000 armor, I think, is going to feel a little bit nicer because of the determination nerf and the added armor class. Armor class is going to give you more armor, and they try to offset that a little bit by nerfing determination. So you get less flat armor. So this flat armor is probably going to feel a little bit nicer after those two things have happened. Now, the added physical damage is also going to feel nicer because of the way that the weapon quality and the new skills have changed how they handle damage. A lot of the new skills have had their flat damage removed, and now they just do big physical buffs. So this flat damage is actually going to hit harder with all of these new skills. So that got an indirect buff. This Master of Metal is a really solid node now, and you can get 10 impels pretty easily going through this game. You get 7 starting out because you now have a node here that gives you +1 to impels, and then you get +1 from this. Then you go by the one with Pride, which will give you another 2, putting you at 9, and then you just select this passive here. 10% chance on hitting an enemy for all impels on the enemy to last an additional hit. That's going to give you almost a pseudo 10 impels because every 10 hits you're going to get additional impels. That is going to be a ton of impels. And you're going to be doing a ton of flat damage. And if you pair that with a couple of weapons that are not cheap early on, but I found both of these just raw dogged. So if you find one of these raw dogged, it would be really powerful. I think the Kingmaker is going to be really strong. Obviously, you get Coaling Strike from your Purity of Herald of Purity, but the flat damage on the Kingmaker is extremely high. Let's go to Kingmaker right there. The flat damage on this is pretty spectacular. So, not flat damage, the percentage. So we can get up to 360% increased physical damage, and the quality addition is going to pump that up, and then the flat damage is going to stack inside of the damage multiplier. It's going to make this one really good. But Paradoxica, everyone knows what this one is. This one's going to be excellent with that added flat damage. It's just going to be really, really powerful. And I would not be surprised to see the price of Paradoxica skyrocket this league just because of how the new damage works. Okay, now let's talk about some other things. The inspirational, that 30% increase effect of non-cursed auras was already extremely powerful. It's a little bit more powerful now with the redesign of Flesh and Stone. Flesh and Stone, you now do 20% more physical damage while in blood stance, and 20% reduced damage taken by nearby enemies. Now that 20% reduced damage taken by nearby enemies, pretty sure that includes dot damage. So you're going to be able to reduce your flat dot damage by quite a lot by pumping up your aura effect using the new Flesh and Stone. This is a really strong defensive layer, and when you flip it, 20% more physical damage against enemies, pumping that up, you're already getting 35% right from the tree. That's going to put it up to like 28 or something crazy like that. Yeah, it's just really, really strong. That is a really strong node. And with the new Flesh and Stone and with the new banner, you're going to be able to drop those, and they're going to get additional pump-ups. So that is a buff. Now, these two have stayed the same, and they moved this one around and dropped it by 5. I believe for me, this would always be a buff. I don't really understand anyone who would prefer to have 20 over here. Sure, you'll be able to get 20 fortify the entire time, but I think being able to save 2 nodes just to get fortify first is overall better, and I think this is a buff. This is just never why. They just removed it from the game, so you're never going to go that way, which is fine, because the champion does well on these first nodes. These first nodes are always super strong. You can run like that, and it's really strong. Well, obviously you can't, but you know what I'm talking about. But if I were to build an Impale champion, I'd probably run it something like this. You run down, I definitely want those. You got your first section of Impale nodes, and this tree is going to be really thick because everything you want is right next to it. First section of Impale nodes, this is a new section, 10% increase Impale effect, 6% increased impale effect, and then chance to impale. Those are pretty damn good. And since we're going to be using the stances, we're going to be using Flesh and Stone and Blood and Sand, we want this bad boy. This bad boy is pretty strong, giving you 50% increased mana reservation efficiency. And if it turns out you don't need that efficiency, you can just remove this one. But I'm hoping that with this, you'll be able to run Determination, Pride, and Flesh and Stone. Hopefully Determination, Pride, Flesh and Stone, and a few other ones. And then the banners are going to be dropping on top of it. So that's just going to be a really nice little combo. Now this new aura node is really strong. It kind of is significantly better than this one over here. And this one over here, I'm pretty sure used to have 4. So they kind of split it in half. So this is really nice. You're already getting buffs to auras. You're getting even more buffs and reservation efficiency. Really strong node. I think this is a stellar node to grab, even if you're not going to go to 100% spell suppression. Just getting these 3 and then making spell suppression lucky, it feels pretty good. You notice it. It's not going to save you from spiky elemental damage, so you'll probably want to handle your elemental damage some other way, but that'll work pretty good. Now we move over here to these impale effect nodes. Really strong. It's just all impale effect. I don't remember if it was always all impale effect, but I don't think it was. That is a lot of impale effect. And again, we're going up to 10. It's going crazy. You're going to probably want to play an axe when you do impale, because you can anoint this guy right here, or you can path to it. But this guy's going to give you 12% impale effect and axe damage. So you probably want that node. That impale effect is really strong. So axes is probably the way to go. But I showed a Paradoxica. You can also go with swords, just not using that one. Now the banner, you could probably get 100% uptime with the banner. Because these nodes, plus 30 to Valor, and then whenever it leaves, it lingers, and then you're going to have a bunch of nodes that recharge it faster. Increased duration, and then Valor gained, and then this one's going to give you charges. So the banners are pretty strong, and I'm pretty sure it'll be permanent uptime. I personally will never use a banner because it's just recreating totems and giving me an extra button to click. But if you don't mind that extra button to click, this is a really strong little setup you can have here. And that new banner, there's only one that's really good. I think it's Banner of... I can't remember what it's called. It's the one that does increase physical damage. Should be pretty strong. Especially because you already have the buff. They've removed totems. It's going to replace how the totem gameplay was. But it's going to give you a buff on top of the already buffed physical damage. It should be really, really strong. I don't know if it'd be worthy of allocating points to increase the banner, but I definitely would recommend trying it out and see if you like it. Now we can path through. If we're getting the Kingmaker, we can get a whole nother section up here. If you're not getting the Kingmaker, you can get those free points back. And I would probably add Rage to this too, because we're already in the area for all of the Rage nodes. So I just grab some Rage here, and then the next Rage is up here, and I'd even probably path up here to get this Rage, because I already want this crit, so we might as well just get this Rage. Maximum Rage here, since we're already getting... Oh, no longer Maximum Rage. Sad, the Maximum Rage is moved up there. If you really wanted to, you can path out of this and not even mess with that, but adding that extra 1 Rage might be pretty nice, depending on how it works. Now, with this guy, you're going to be gaining endurance charges and frenzy charges. Now, you can reallocate a bunch of stuff. Let's say we're not using Kingmaker, and you can just pop these right here, and that's some pretty good little additional damage. And if you don't want the extra damage that way, you just grab 2 of these bad boys, and with the new change to endurance charges, this is going to give you reduced elemental damage, and since you probably won't be spell suppress capped, that extra elemental damage reduction, really nice. And if your banners have permanent uptime, you're also going to have permanent endurance and frenzy uptime. Pretty strong, pretty strong. You can even steal the Slayer frenzy nodes that allows you to get frenzy charges equal to endurance charges. And if you're playing with swords, you can path up here, still get some pretty good sword nodes, and then also get these additional frenzy charges. You can also play with some type of claw or dagger and swing all the way back up to here and then get these right there. So I think the champion is gotten a lot of little sneaky buffs. Oh, I didn't talk about the change to Hatred. With the change to Hatred, Hatred got a huge buff to the added physical damage. And that's just going to further improve and further increase the impact of this increased effect of non-cursed auras. This aura increase is now much larger than it has ever been. In fact, aura champions are probably going to be stronger than they've ever been if you can find a way to effectively path over on this to get both of these. And you can even remove this one, and it's a lot more handy to start on this side, go down and grab these instead of before where you'd have to go here or skip it altogether. But let's just let's reset this, and let's just show what that would look like if you're going to do like a champion aura class. You swing up here. Look how much aura you can get all in this little block radius. But then you're going to go there and put all your auras in that one. Swing up here, put them in that one, grab that. Now you have all of these auras, and you still have ton of skill points left. But now pathing over here becomes awkward now because there's so many different ways to do it. So you'd have to depend on how you're building it. Usually aura stackers, they do spells, so it's probably better just to, you probably wouldn't even anoint this one. It's better probably not to path over there. But you could path here if you have enough points to then do a triple cluster jewel. And this is probably the new kind of setup for aura builds that are going to do aura stacking on a champion. Then you probably anoint that one. That's the new aura champion stacker. And these feel very synergistic the way they are now, because these two are just kind of like almost in the same spot in kitty corners. And then this one up there. This one's the lamest one, but you know, for whatever reason, they kind of make whatever's in this middle here pretty lame in comparison to everything else. Probably because everybody has access to it really easily. But anyways, those are my thoughts on the champion. I think it's gotten a huge buff. And sure, they removed this one and they pumped down the amount of fortification you get, but putting it in a new spot, I think it's hot. I think the champion got a bunch of buffs that are kind of under the radar, and I think it's going to be a fantastic class. Now, since I don't like playing banners, I'm probably not going to start a champion, but I definitely might explore it later on. Later.